We are people working with people. We can't expect perfection. We're going to aim for perfection, but we have to understand it's not always going to happen, and that's okay. And people go through rough times. We want to be there for them. We want to be an organization, and we want to be leaders and team members who team members feel comfortable coming to. Because there are a lot of challenges that individuals go through that we've never lived, that we can't imagine what they're going through. And that's an opportunity for us to grow as humans and to learn and to figure out how to help them through these challenges.
Welcome to the Better Culture Podcast, where we make the clear connection between better culture and better business. This podcast is for leaders who want to build stronger teams, drive thriving companies, and enjoy your leadership role along the way. Now here's your host, Brett Hoogeveen, a leadership and culture aficionado, keynote speaker, and co-founder of Better Culture.
Welcome back to another fantastic episode of the Better Culture Podcast, where we explore what it really takes to build world-class workplace cultures. Today's guest is Heather Tussing, president of the Aspenwood Company, a Texas-based senior living organization creating communities where residents and associates truly thrive. Heather's story is unique, from starting out in community sales at just a single one of their communities to now leading the entire organization. She's led major transformation, achieved industry-leading employee engagement scores, and done it all while leading from the front and keeping culture at the heart of growth. Heather, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Brett. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. I am excited that you would take some time to come share some of your experience and wisdom with our audience. So again, thank you. Appreciate it. I would love if you could just start. I know that intro didn't quite do you or your organization justice, so would love to just learn a little bit more about your backstory and sort of how you found yourself in leading a pretty good size senior living organization down there across some of our beautiful southern U.S. states. So could you just tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. So I stumbled into a career as a sales director, actually at a skilled nursing facility in a small town in Ohio, about an hour outside of Columbus. So I happened into this role. It was a great stepping stone for me. I did that for a couple years. Then I stepped away, began my own business, which ended up turning into $1 million eBay business. Shocked, completely shocked.
I've heard of these people. I don't know how that works, but I've heard
Completely shocked me. And it actually ended up taking over my life, basically. It was like every minute you work to make more money you make, which is great for some people. Somebody as driven as me, it's probably not healthy for. So I found my way back to senior living, gratefully. Somehow, I received the opportunity to be an executive director. Somebody took the biggest chance on me because I did not know what I was doing. I knew sales, and I have drive. I went in on my very first day, threw away 8 black trash bags full of things that in hindsight, probably either should have been shredded or saved. But I didn't know. And that year we received the most turnaround building of the year award out of 50 some communities. So it ended up working out. And then I've just worked my way up. So I've been that was in a small community as well. And so
Can I interrupt real quick? Any chance I get to point out the difference between management and leadership, I like to try to point it out, right? And so effective management might say, well, here's the policy manual, here's all the stuff that we have to do to comply with X and Y and Z. But a great leader comes in and says, this looks like a mess. We got to clean it up in here, right?
Oh, get it done. Get it done.
So I love it. All right. So thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
No, and at that community, it was a smaller community. It was 40 some units, and which is a great stepping stone, a great way to start a career because all my directors were part-time except for me. And so I had to learn aspects of every one of their individual roles. So at the time, sometimes when you're going through things, it doesn't feel amazing, but in hindsight, what an amazing opportunity. I may not be where I am now if I hadn't had the opportunity to learn the details and the intricacies of every single separate role. And so I went on from there. I've been in every different role. I've been executive directors for luxury communities, larger communities, regional director. I've done compliance. I've done startups. I've been VP of an organization. I've been executive vice president, COO, VP of sales, and now I'm president of the Aspenwood Company. So I can literally lead by saying I've done all of these different roles.
Yeah. Would you give us just a sense of sort of the size and scope of the Aspenwood Company? Just what types of services do you provide and the
Of
region
course.
that you provide them?
So we're Southeast based. We have a huge footprint in Texas. We're based in Houston, Texas, but we have a large footprint in Texas. We also go into Arkansas, Nashville, and North Carolina. So really, we're trying to stay in that Southeast. It's very important to me because when I first began my career, I did not have this. I mean, I made it work, but I did not have the support that, and maybe in hindsight, that was a blessing. I don't know. But it's important to me that where we operate, that we're able to have teams to provide. We have really high expectations. Along with high expectations, you have to be able to be ready to provide the tools and the support to help people reach those expectations. And so that's why we really maintain that Southeast footprint, so that we can maintain, what we expect in the services we provide, but also be able to provide that support to our team members and have them feel like they're part of something larger.
Yeah. Well, whether it is ratings such as your Glassdoor rating, or whether it's things like best place to work, we may get into a few of these later. You've received quite a few accolades for the type of organization that you've created as well. So, would you mind just telling us a little bit about sort of the culture at Aspenwood and why why you're the perfect guest for us here at the Better Culture Podcast, and what makes your culture unique at Aspenwood, what the types of things you've achieved from an employee engagement, a culture perspective. Give us
Of
some.
course. Well, I mean, culture is so important in senior living because you're not just working in an office, you're working in somebody's home. You're working in the home of individuals, and culture can be felt. So when you walk into a community, which again is our workplace, but it's where our residents or members live, we want to walk in and feel like a good feeling. You don't want to feel a sense of tension, because it's not just for our team members, which are very important. It's also for our residents and members who live there day in and day out. And we want to ensure that they have an amazing feeling, an amazing opportunity. And it's just like if you have a spat with your partner at home, there can feel like you can feel your kids can feel that tension. We don't want that in our community. So it's really important to us. So we talk a lot about being measured and human. So we use data and feedback to guide us, but we never forget that the people are at the center of every decision we make. Our engagement scores consistently exceed the benchmarks in the industry, which as an industry, they're not the highest. It's a difficult industry. But we recently completed our most recent survey, and we had 99% participation in the Great Place to Work survey. And that's because our team members understand that their voice truly matters. Out of our entire organization, only 14 people did not complete the survey.
That is
So,
incredible, by the way.
I
When
mean, and it's so
that doesn't
important because we
100%.
want that feedback.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
When we do employee engagement surveys with our Better Culture survey, we often tell our clients, you have a valid data sample if you can just get, it depends on the organizational size, but
Yeah,
in medium-sized companies and up, if you get 60%, 70% completion, you get a valid sample, right? And in smaller businesses, you've got to get higher and higher. But it's relatively rare that we get organizations that would be in your size that would get more than 90% completion. And so to get 99% takes probably a good amount of effort, but also probably employees that feel like they know that you want to hear their voice.
exactly. It does take a lot of effort, but and then we try to make it a fun event, but it's more importantly, we want to hear their feedback and they understand that. So I think one of the most important things is that when you do surveys, whether it be for associate or resident, whatever, any survey, you have to be ready to take action on the results that you receive. You can't ask for feedback and just collect it. You
Yeah.
have to take measurable and calculated direction, or else people are not going to. And we've consistently seen these high results year over year, and that's because our team members know that we're going to do something with the information we receive.
Yeah.
And again, I think that culture is so powerful, but it doesn't have to be perfect. So in this industry, we give a lot of grace. We talk very honestly. We talk very transparently. I worked for a New Jersey-based organization for 11 years, and that was a great opportunity for me to learn a lot about transparent conversations, but buffering them and also making them be kind, but always being transparent. And I think that mix of being authentic, but also being vulnerable is really a differentiator for Aspenwood, and our team members feel that.
Very cool. Are there any other ways that you would describe your culture, what makes it unique?
I think that it's my senior team members all began at a community level role, whether that be a senior living community or whether that be an individual hotel in the hospitality industry. We all began in roles. We didn't just come and become a home office team member. We began in the community. So anything we're asking our team members to do, we've done. And we also know when we're asking them to do things, we also understand the commitment and what that entails. So we see the bigger picture. We're not just sitting in an ivory tower making directives. We fully understand all the impact that goes into requests that we make and decisions that we make.
Yeah. Well, here's a secret that not a lot of people know, but it sounds like you're walking the walk on this. But it is really, really hard to create a truly top tier company culture with a lot of external hires, right? A lot of external leadership hires, right? In order to create consistency and have people understand what it means to be a leader in your organization, and specifically what's expected of management, the culture we want, that takes some time. And organizations that prioritize internal promotions up through the system have a big leg up on consistency of leadership and building consistent culture over time. And I was doing a little bit of research on your Aspenwood website and found a celebration. At the end of 2024, you guys posted a message that said you did 161 internal promotions just in 2024. And I know you're a good size organization, but that's still a lot of internal promotions. And so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Not just for your employees, but for the organization, because I know the positive impact.
It's a win for all.
Yes. Very cool. And it sounds like something that you prioritize.
I mean, I think that it's important that as we do internal promotions, that it's the right for the team member as well as for the organization. I will admit that early in my career, I did make some promotions that were probably not the right thing for the team member or the organization. And that's one of the hardest things to do as a leader, is to recognize that you made a decision to promote somebody that they weren't ready for. So I'm very cognizant and conscientious of that. But I also believe that there is so much institutional knowledge and culture amongst our internal team members that when we give them that opportunity to grow, just like I had in my career, I was with one organization for 11 years. I think I had 6 or 7 different promotions during that time. I wouldn't be where I am now if I hadn't had those opportunities for growth. So it's very important to me that we give individuals the opportunity to grow. And I think that as we grow in our career, our lens grows. So I remember being an executive director of a single community in North Dayton, Ohio, that was really off the beaten path, an economically challenged area. And I turned that building around along with my team. We went from the lowest CQI audit in the company to the highest. We went from multiple deficiencies to deficiency-free surveys. The 3 team members before me had been terminated. The 3 executive directors before me had been terminated. So the team members were just pushing me. They're like, how far can we get her before she either quits or she gets fired too? So it was such a challenge. And I remember thinking when we got that community turned around, like, wow, like we're going to get this accolades, like we are the star. In hindsight, we weren't. We were off the beaten path. No matter how amazing we did, our NOI was still going to be the best it could be for that market, but it wasn't going to be a leader because of the market we were in. But my lens has grown as every role I've been in. And that's something I try to bring to my team members, is letting them see and understand through a bigger lens. So I try to explain the why to them that helps them grow in their career, so that they understand why the decisions we're making. Because sometimes things are behind the scenes and it's not clearly understandable, but it's very important to me that I help my team members grow, not just in their title, but also grow in their knowledge and the emotional intelligence that goes into the decisions and roles that we lead.
Yeah. Well, if you're comfortable, I'd love to dig into that a little bit, for a leader who's listening and who maybe is charged with turning around a facility, a building, a department, fill in the blank, right? That you're a leader. It could be of a team of 6 or a team of 600, but maybe things aren't where you want them to be, and you're currently in that leadership role. Could you give us some ideas or some tips on what that actually takes to take a building or a department or a team or a company that's not where you want it to be. And to go from sort of worst to first, or to transform or to change a culture, change performance in an organization, how do you think about that as a leader? What are a few practical things that you did personally that others could learn from?
Well, I've definitely done it. I did it as an ED, and in my current role, that's what I was hired to do, was take a really good organization and make it excellent. So I think that obviously depending on there's going to be a little bit of differences depending on if it's a community or if it's an office or if it's an entire organization. It's going to be slightly different scale, obviously. But the first thing you do is you go in and you observe. You observe, you listen, you talk to all different team members. You're there for different shifts. You're there for weekends. You make yourself available because you have to learn, and you don't want to take one or two individuals' perspectives, even if it's your boss's perspective. You want to hear that, but you also have to live it. You have to feel it yourself. You have to listen, but you're also going to feel it. You're going to feel whether there's authentic interactions and so forth. And then I also think you look at tools. There's probably tools available to you. There's going to be, income statements. There's going to be in senior living. There's going to be state surveys. There're going to be internal audits. You're going to look at those different tools as well, and that's going to help you. Don't look at it if they're bad. Don't look at it as a negative. Look at it as this is a roadmap given to you, and this roadmap is going to help you create the success. And then I think you have to go into it with a mindset that you can't. It's like you can't eat an elephant. You have to eat it one bite at a time. Like if you're going to do this job, please don't look at the whole picture. Roadmap out step by step what makes sense and what is most important. What's going to drive the biggest change, and that's what you start with. You can't change everything at once because one, you can't do it. Two, your team can't keep up with it. So you have to make sure that as you're driving change in a way that is measurable, not just for yourself and realistic, not just for yourself, but also for your team members. But equally as important is you also have to take a break and step away from time to time. You can't go 100 miles an hour every moment of every day. You're going to burn yourself out. You're going to drive your team members crazy. And you're also not going to be your best self. None of us are our best self when we're exhausted. I think that there are seasons where you have to work really, really hard. But you also have to take time to step away from it so you can see the accurate picture. Because when you're living in it, you're breathing in it, you're not sleeping, you're working 7 days a week, you're not seeing the authentic picture. You're seeing a distorted picture and a distorted view that's not helping you best lead your community, your organization.
Yes. Okay. So if I could summarize, I love what you said. First off, observe and or measure, right? So figure out what's really going on and observe it for yourself, right? Don't take one or two persons' perspectives for granted. Get data, get information, talk to lots of people, observe it for yourself, right? And that's a starting point, okay? And then secondarily, if what you find is not great, that's not a problem. It's an opportunity. It's a roadmap. It's saying, okay, here's all the opportunities we have in front of ourselves to get better. Now, how we get better, I 100% agree with you. It's one step at a time, right? It's not one big thing. It's lots of little bites to eat that elephant. And then the last piece that you said is something that I don't hear as often that I want to reemphasize with people. So we often say, it's about continuous improvement. It's about stacking up lots of little wins. It's about just being consistent. But if you think about a year, and a year has, 360 days in it, maybe 220 quote unquote work days or whatever it is, or 12 months. If you're making steady and focused improvement on, let's say, 8 out of those 12 months on a very specific area, and occasionally you're letting people breathe a little bit, like that's probably the best recipe for success versus saying, no, every single day something better be getting better, because you will burn people out, right? So it's got to be consistent, but it doesn't have to be like never-ending quest for improvement constantly. It's like, no, every week, every month, every quarter, we should have goals and things we're measuring that we're making progress on. Sometimes with our clients, I'm trying to show them and convince them that, yeah, we could try to do this in 6 months, but I promise you'll be more successful if we do it over 3 years. If we take measured steps for improvement and not just like, okay, here's the 17 things that we know we got to get done. How fast can we do them? That's not a recipe for success, right? Consistency over time is a recipe for success.
It is. And I think it's not authentic. When we try to rush something so quickly, it also doesn't come across as authentic either. And so it's really hard for team members to buy into a culture if they feel like it's not, I mean, you have to be authentic. And I think it comes across as unauthentic and unreasonable. And it's not the culture you want to bring into an organization. You want people to be their best at work. And in order to be our best, we have to go at a steady pace. And I'm fast. I don't want to make it sound like we're slow. I work at a fast pace. That's why I'm in the role I'm in. But at the same time, I also have to take time to recharge, and I have to ensure that my team does that as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think anyone just listening or watching, Heather, can tell you move at a fast pace. You talk at a fast pace even.
I
So
do. Sorry, I do.
I appreciate it. The more value we can get in a half hour, the better. So I love it. Let's see. So maybe talk about maybe a few of the more specific things that you've implemented, or maybe approaches, practical things. You mentioned tools. Things that you've really done that you feel like have made progress. I know you shared a few examples with me when we met a few months back. I'll let you take that sort of any direction you want to, but could you give a few just practical stories or examples of specific things that you've done that you can tell have impacted culture, performance, whatever you wanna say it impacted?
So I think that it is first leading by example. So even though I'm president, I very much so am in the weeds to a degree. I mean, I have to also lead, but I understand what's going on daily in our communities. I understand what initiatives we're moving forward. So I'm very much involved in the day-to-day business while also ensuring that I have time to also build the business and continue to innovate and lead us forward. So I think that that's pivotally important is you have to be involved. You have to understand what's occurring. But I think that I lead the culture and my team. Like I am so invested and so proud of what we do that it seeps through when I talk with my team. It seeps through when I talk with investors. It seeps through when I'm with our residents and family members. And that's super important to me. And one thing that we do is I personally recognize every director level team member that joins our organization. So a director level from our community, we have 20 communities across the Southeast. I make sure I personally recognize every one of their hires. And it's not easy, but it's important. And that's an example of leading by example. I want them to see what I do. And if I take time out of my schedule to do it, then I hope they do that. They emulate that with their team members as they begin to. I wish I could do it with every team member in our organization. That's just simply not realistic. And that's an example where I wish I could do more, but I have to also be realistic on what's within my time frame that I can do. So I make sure that I send a personalized welcome video, and it's not one I record. It's one specific to each individual that begins with an organization. And I let them know how they are going to be able to what impact they're going to have. People don't join senior living because it's a sexy industry. They join typically senior living to make a difference. So I take their role specifically and what I know is going on in that community, and I make that video specific to them, their background, and what kind of change or drive or what kind of impact they're going to have within that community or our organization, if it's a home office team member joining, and how they're going to make that difference. So I want them to understand what a large impact they're going to have. They might think I'm coming on as a maintenance director. I'm just maintenance. I'm just going to fix things. No, you have such an impact. You have such an impact. There are individuals taking trash out at 3 o'clock in the morning. They need to feel secure. We have to make sure every parking light's on. We need to, it's just, every role is so pivotal. I don't want ever to take a role and have people minimize what that role is. So that's one thing that I do. And again, I'm hoping that translates through. We also send welcome boxes. I think that's very important that our team members feel important and that they feel valued because they are important. They're going to shape.
Tell us what that is.
So,
What is the welcome box?
so we have two different levels. So one, we send a home office box where I personally send a handwritten note with it, like just a gift welcoming them. And we try to personalize it as well. So we do an about you form because I think it's very important that we tailor things to individual preferences and that we show we're willing to do that because that's what we want to do with our residents and members. So I have to live that by showing it to our team members as well. So we send them a welcome box personalized to them. We also have culture boxes that we've created for communities as well. Now, not every single community needs this. Some communities do a smashing job without it, but some communities need to understand. Everybody has different strengths and weaknesses, and that's fine. That's what makes us great. That's what makes us I don't want everybody to be the same. I want to have that differences. But for those communities that need the culture boxes, we send them a culture box that helps them with welcoming team members, and it gets them started. They can welcome team members with it. They can acknowledge team members' anniversaries and birthdays. They can acknowledge team members doing a bang up job at something. So it's thank you cards, it's birthday cards, it's anniversary cards, it's gift cards, it's examples of what other communities have done. We're living in a world where we don't have to recreate the wheel always. Take what you've seen somebody else do. The biggest compliment you can receive is somebody copying what you're doing.
Yes.
You don't have to recreate the wheel anymore. ChatGPT is your friend. Learn, and also I think it's important to form relationships with others in your industry, whatever your industry will be, because you can learn so much from others in the industry just talking through day-to-day challenges. That's one of my favorite things about going to conferences is I've built such a strong relationship with other COOs, presidents, CEOs within the industry where we can commiserate together, we can share challenges together, and we can also share wins and help each other and learn from each other. You don't have to start from scratch.
Sure. So I want to double click on a couple things that you said there. Number one is about leading from the front line and leading by example, right? And I think, when you're the president of a large organization, there are some things you just can't do yourself, right? That obviously you need to be empowering levels of leaders to create to lead and to create that culture on their own. But a big part of that is role modeling, is saying, here's how we do things here, right? And so you told me an example a while ago about an experience you had visiting a facility in a snowstorm. Do you remember that story that you told me?
I do. I was actually the executive director. I lived about an hour and a half away from that community in decent weather. And so it was actually at off hours or a week. I don't remember if it was off hours or weekend, but it wasn't during business hours. So I wasn't home. So obviously if there's a snowstorm, any kind of storm, if it's a hurricane, any type of, your community, you go to your community. You don't leave your community. You go to your community, regardless of the time of day, the weekend or the holiday,
Senior living
whatever.
is a different industry that way because people are there 24/7, right?
Exactly. So
Operating.
you make sure that your team members get there, including you, obviously. And so I was driving through the community. I actually ended up in a ditch, but everything turned out fine. And while I was in the ditch, attempting to get out of the ditch, I get an email from the home office that the home office is closing because of a snowstorm. And I'm like, we don't do that. So we do not lead that way now at my organization. We do not lead that way because I've been on the other side of it and I will never forget that. I will never ever forget that. So I have team members who are at times they work remote. We live crazy schedules. I've been in 2 different states, 3 different cities working just this week alone. Obviously, I'm in my office right now. But if I was working remote, my team members would not know that. They would, because I'm going to be dressed just like I am. I think it's very important that we understand our community team members do not, and our frontline team members do not have the opportunity to do so. They are there taking care of individuals. So we have to, as a home office, we have to lead with that understanding as well. So we're not going to be taking calls from a beach. We're not going, we have to understand that and if there's an emergency nowadays, my team members, we have we have a lot of hurricane areas. My home office team members, including myself, we're going to be frontline there with them, helping them. We're not going to be away from the disaster or the potential fallout. We're going to be in the middle of it. That's what leadership is.
That makes such a difference when employees show up and whatever they're being asked to do, they see that being role modeled by their leaders across the organization. I love it. I want to also just mention the culture boxes that you shared. I mean, like you said, everyone has their strengths, right? When it comes to being a leader. And there are some people, and I know a lot of these leaders, and I'm probably one of them myself, who want to be the type of leader that the organization needs, but maybe aren't always like, okay, so I want to thank someone really in a creative way for the work that they did. I'm just not that good at that. How do I do it? I don't know what to do. And if you can make that easy for me, you can say, oh, here's 3 ways we do it across our different facilities. Here's the stationery. Here's what others have written. Here's how all of a sudden, it takes away those blocks for folks that actually would like to do something that just doesn't come so natural. And if you can make it easier and role model it and set them up for success, I know for a fact that makes a big difference in people's ability to be the type of leader that they actually deep down want to be when they just have a few barriers that say, I'm not great at doing that, right? And so the easier you can make it, the more likely it is that they're going to do it. So I just love that you take the time to set all of your communities up, your leaders up for success as much as you can. So I love that idea.
Yeah, and it actually, thank you. It actually came from, I was in a community. And when I visit communities, I often visit multiple in a day when I block the time for that, which is my favorite thing to do. But I was in a community and I was asking for a note card because I ran out and bought a small gift for somebody. They were going through something and I bought a small gift for them and all I wanted was a note card. They had no note cards, nothing. I wrote it on a legal pad. I now carry note cards with me everywhere I go. I keep them in with my iPad in my iPad bag. But I'm like, so that was like an aha moment for me. And I didn't penalize anybody. It's okay. It was an aha moment for me that this is a challenge. We have to do better. And that's fine. Again, it's a learning opportunity. We figured a way to do better.
Yes, I love it. Thank you for sharing the story. I remember you also shared a big part of your sort of vision for leadership is that nobody's perfect, that people are
Nobody.
imperfect, right? And that really understanding that the fact that organizations and people are all going to be imperfect really is, I think, a little bit fundamental to the way that you think about leadership and culture. Is that would you say that's true?
Oh, it's 100% true. I mean, we are people working with people. We can't expect perfection. We're going to aim for perfection, but we have to understand it's not always going to happen, and that's okay. And people go through rough times. We want to be there for them. We want to be an organization and we want to be leaders and team members feel comfortable coming to, because there are a lot of challenges that individuals go through that we've never lived, that we can't imagine what they're going through. And that's an opportunity for us to grow as humans and to learn and to figure out how to help them through these challenges.
I love it. So I feel like you've given us a few good examples of what leaders can do themselves, the mindsets that they can incorporate, the way that they can show up, the way they can think about leading from the front. Um, you've managed to sort of scale, and you work every day on scaling culture across a good size organization. And you've used some tools, and I think the culture boxes are just one example of that. Is there anything else that comes to mind for you, for leaders that you could share with people that are leading larger organizations like you are? Any tools, any approaches, any things that really help you scale culture or scale leadership? Anything that comes to mind in that regard that you've used?
I mean, we've been able to automate a lot of systems while still keeping it personal. And that's so important to me. And so when I do the videos, for example, for birthdays and anniversaries, I do them each individual, but I block the time to batch do them. So, and then but while I batch do them, it's important to me that they go on the accurate date. And so I ensure that I use Outlook and I make sure that they go on the right date for their birthday. So I batch do them. So I'm using technology, but I'm also making it personal at the same time. And I think that's what we need to do. So we've also integrated with our HR system where we utilize a system called Thanks. And I actually fell upon it. Somebody sent me a thanks one time, and I'm like, this is a great system. So myself and my SVP of HR looked into it, and we began using it. And so we use that for our directors. So every director on their anniversary or birthday receives an automated thanks, but it's a personalized note from me for every single individual. So we've been able to do that to where we're able to use technology, but still keep it personal, because that's so important to me. I don't want them to think to feel like it's a robot sending something. That's not the case. There's a lot of thought that goes into everything that we do.
Are you one of the rare leaders that can handle and do all of that on your own? Or do you have support that helps you organize, that helps you prepare, that helps you have information for those directors, for the folks that you send those things to? Do you have a system and support behind the scenes, or are you able to manage that yourself?
It's a combination thereof. My team will tell you I'm crazy, that I do take on a lot. But I also have, we have it set up to where we automatically receive a report with all that information. On the 15th of the month, I receive it for the next month. So I'm extremely a proactive individual. But at the same time, if I haven't recorded the videos in the correct time frame, my executive assistant is going to be like, Heather, I blocked you some time today. You got to get this done. So it's all about team members supporting each other. Again, none of us are perfect. It takes a team. But even more than what I'm doing, it takes a whole team to make sure that everybody in the organization feels the same way. So my senior team is the most collaborative team that I've ever worked with, and I am so grateful for them. And it is what has helped us achieve the excellence that we have, because I have a lot of strong team members that work together extremely collaboratively, but we also have such trust in each other that we're fine agreeing to disagree and poking holes in an idea to come up with a better solution. And that is the culture that we're creating.
Love that. Do you have any other thoughts about what comprises such a, what makes your leadership team such a high performing team at the moment? What are some of the characteristics or some of the things that a leadership team at senior level that people should be thinking about? Because, when we work, this is actually an overlooked group, and that might surprise you or that might not surprise you. But when organizations think about culture, talent, workforce initiatives, they think, okay, we have 1,000 employees. How can we make sure they're more engaged and committed? And maybe we'll develop managers. What they don't often say is, what's the executive team role modeling? What are the skill sets? What's the relationship? How is that team functioning? Because that really does waterfall down in a significant way throughout the organization. So I'm curious if you have any thoughts about
Oh,
what
I
people
have
should
so
be
much.
thinking about in creating that type of top senior leadership team.
Yeah, because when I began here over 3 years ago, I was hired to bring change to the organization, and so I had to start with the senior team and making some really hard decisions with really good people that just were not in the right role. And so I've been able and fortunate enough to take on the challenge of building a strong leadership team, and I think that by doing so, I include my senior team, others peers when we're interviewing and so forth. So it's really become very collaborative, and everybody feels a piece of ownership in what we do as a senior team. But we have to be a strong, united front as a senior team, or our community team members will feel that. And that's not a possibility for me. That's not acceptable. It's not a possibility. So we can agree to disagree, but we're a united front regardless. Because we truly care about each other as humans, not just in our role. That's obviously extremely important, but I care equally, and my team members do as well. We care about each other outside of the office as well. We
Care
actually
about
like each other.
Yes, like and care about each other. That's a good place to start. And if you're listening and you're going, oh, our team has some work. Yes, that's important. Work on that, right? The second is people are able to debate, to discuss, agree to disagree, right? But when you make a
So important.
decision, everybody gets on board, I'm guessing, right?
Exactly. Everybody had the chance to put in their feedback. And then when we come to that collaborative decision, it's a collaborative decision. And I think it also helps people learn. It helps people grow because they're able to see a bigger picture than what they organically saw on their own.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm getting close to the end of my planned conversation with you, Heather, and I just really appreciate that you would take the time to come share some insight with our audience. And I want to just applaud not just you personally, but Aspenwood as an organization and all of the managers and the team members across your system for all the great and important work that you do, taking care of our seniors, taking care of folks who are living, hopefully, those golden years of life and beyond. It's so important. And so I thank you for the work that you're doing and for the work that you're doing to prioritize culture, which is near and dear to my heart as well.
Thank you, Brett. I appreciate it. It's near and dear to mine as well.
Yeah. Do you have any, and you don't have to have an answer to this, by the way, but any sort of just last minute closing comments, just anything else that you want to say or that you want leaders to hear from a leadership or culture perspective, anything that you'd like to close us out with?
I think that everybody has to understand that culture is going to be felt, and that as a leader, and especially as a role, if your role in leadership increases, that you set the tone. Like, so I'm going to 2 communities this afternoon, for example, and I've had a week. But I will walk into those communities and they will not know that whatsoever, because I'm setting the tone. And so you have to check yourself and ensure that when you're meeting with others, that have your close team that you can be authentic with, but also ensure that when you're going forward facing, that you are ensuring that you're emulating the culture that you want, regardless of whether it's Monday morning or Friday afternoon at 6 p.m. You're setting the right tone for that, because people are going to emulate what you do.
What a great closing piece of advice. Heather, your story shows that even in industries which can be challenging from a talent attraction and retention perspective, that great culture isn't a luxury. no matter how luxurious a few of your properties might be. It's really a leadership choice, right? It's a choice we can make every day. So thanks for showing us what leadership looks like in action. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Brett. I appreciate the opportunity.
Want to take the next step to building a stronger culture? We're offering a free 15-minute Better Culture strategy call directly with me. We'll take the time to help you identify real opportunities to make your workplace better. No sales pitch, just real advice to help you lead better. Grab your time right now at betterculture.com/free call. Let's make something even better together.